Dr. Monteek Singh Ahluwalia, Deputy Chairman, Planning Commission, Reddy Brothers, pioneers in private healthcare, Lord Nigel Crisp, independent member, House of Lords, and former head of NHS, friends. First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Pratap Reddy and also to thank him for giving me this opportunity to be here. For those of you who thought I was fashionably late, I would like to apologize, but I was asked to turn up at 11:30, so I'm a bit of a stickler for punctuality, so I was actually 5 minutes early. But anyway, I think it's a grand opportunity for all of us to share our experiences, to share best practices, and to learn from each other. As I was coming down the drive, I could see that some of the major countries who are experimenting in healthcare, giving us new ideas, are represented here. So this is indeed a grand opportunity for all of us to share and to learn. Let us look at where India stands currently as far as health is concerned. It has a population of over 1.21 billion, and as you know, if Uttar Pradesh were a country, it would be the 6th largest country in the world. Earlier we used to say that we added an Australia to our population every year. Since then the numbers have gone down, luckily. The population density is of the order of 382 per square kilometers, but if you look at the Gangetic Plains, it is much higher. About 29.8% of the population falls below the poverty line. Only 46.6% of the households have access to safe drinking water, and about 48.9% of households have no drainage facilities. The children under age 5 who are underweight stand at around 42.5%. These figures are daunting, but obviously you need to have a look at whether the glass is half full or half empty, and I think over the years we've made fantastic progress. I shall be pointing out some of the achievements which we have made. Let us look at the funding. India's total health expenditure, private and public, as a percentage of GDP in 2010 stands at 3.7% as compared to 3.5% in Sri Lanka as per WHO statistics 2013. WHO statistics on global health expenditure database as on 13th February 2014, general government expenditure on health as percentage of total health expenditure has increased from 22% in 2005 to 31% in 2011. As per Economic Survey 2012-2013, the expenditure on health by centre and states combined has increased from rupees 63,226 crore in 2007-2008 to rupees 136,296 crore in 2012-2013. So you'll agree that the figures are showing a substantive rise in the expenditure on the health sector. And the allocation of the 12th five-year plan for the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has substantially increased to 3,18,000 crores. The total public funding by the centre and the states, plan and non-plan and core health is envisaged to increase to 1.87% of the GDP by the end of the 12th plan. The flagship mission of the central government, namely the National Health Mission, which, as you know, it has two submissions, the National Rural Health Mission and the National Urban Health Mission. It seeks to provide affordable and accessible health care, especially to the vulnerable and marginalized sections of the population. An amount of rupees 21,912 crores has been approved as the budget outlay for 2014-2015. The National Urban Health Mission has recently been launched with a view to expand the primary healthcare service coverage to the urban areas in the country, and this is seeking to learn and build from the National Rural Health Mission, in which as of now 88 lakh ASHAs have been recruited in order to look at the rural healthcare, and they have been incentivized by the states as well as by the center to look at various critical healthcare issues, and for instance, institutionalized delivery, prenatal health checkups, and even HIV AIDS checkup of pregnant women. All these, some states so far have incentivized it, some have not, but we are working on that. And recognizing the shortfall in human resources to deliver adequate health care, the government seeks to address the inadequacies in healthcare infrastructure in the country through its various initiatives in the 12th five-year plan, like expansion of medical colleges, nursing colleges, and paramedical institutions, establishment of new government medical colleges in underserved areas, scheme to augment doctors and specialists and also provide specialized healthcare services by strengthening government medical colleges and central government health institutions, establishment of auxiliary nurse midwife and general nurse midwife schools in unserved and underserved areas, strengthening and upgradation of nursing institutions, and strengthening the cadre of paramedics. To give you just one example, when the last five-year plan started, there was just one cancer institute in the country. And at the end of this five-year plan, we aim to have 71 cancer institutes in the country. Apart from that, trauma centers, burn clinics, burn units, these are being established in the major health centers, whether they are district hospitals or medical colleges, and auxiliary nurse midwife and general nurse midwife schools. These are being established and the training is being upgraded so as to meet the shortage of nurses. Let me dwell now on some of the weaknesses of the health systems of our country which need to be addressed in the near future. One is the availability of healthcare services from the public and private sectors taken together, which is quantitatively inadequate. We have one doctor for a population of 2,000, which is woeful. The overall shortage is exacerbated by a wide geographical variation in availability across the country, as the rural areas are especially poorly served. We are looking at PPP partnerships, and Lord Nigel told us about the situation in UK. Under the CGHS, for instance, we have reached out to dental services, and we've tried a pilot project which is working in Delhi. In 13 CGHS centers, dental care is being provided by a private service provider. The results have been mixed, but it is a learning experience for us, and we need to take it up to scale in the future. The quality of healthcare services, that varies considerably in both the public and the private sector, and we are looking at our Jhola Chhap doctors and seeing what we can do to take action against them. Many practitioners in the private sector, as you know, are not actually qualified doctors. Regulatory standards for public and private hospitals are not adequately defined, and in any case are ineffectively enforced. So the whole question of regulation is one which we need to look at more carefully, and the role of the MCI. Affordability of healthcare is a serious problem for the vast majority of the population, especially in tertiary care. This results in a very high financial burden on families in case of severe illness. A large fraction of the out-of-pocket expenditure arises from outpatient care and purchase of medicines and so on. We have different schemes. We have schemes even under the labor and employment, the RBSY, and now we are planning to have an MOU and tie up with RBSY so that we can look at some of the weaknesses of RBSY. At the moment, what happens is that when somebody contacts the RBSY services, they are not required to undergo a wellness check in order to see what exactly is wrong with them. With the result that we are hearing some horrifying stories of how hospitals, in order to milk the RBSY scheme, they are prescribing totally unnecessary operations to poor patients. You must have read in the Hindu recently some stories had come. So now we are having a tie-up with MOLE, Ministry of Labour and Employment, so that as soon as the beneficiary approaches the RBSY scheme, first he is sent to a PHC or a CHC for a wellness check so that we know what is wrong with them, and accordingly the prescriptions are made. Healthcare costs are expected to rise because with rising life expectancy, a larger proportion of our population will become vulnerable to chronic non-communicable diseases, NCDs, which typically require expensive treatment. I think you all are aware that 80% of all NCD deaths are attributed to 4 diseases, namely cancer, cardiovascular diseases, chronic respiratory diseases, and diabetes. We keep hearing stories of how we are going to be the diabetes capital of the world, and we have taken up these NCDs as a separate area to be addressed by schemes which are now in the pipeline. And in the 12th five-year plan, this is going to be a priority area for us. The public awareness of treatment possibilities is also increasing, which in turn increases the demand for medical and healthcare. It is essential to ensure that the demographic dividend which India is currently enjoying is not allowed to be converted into a burden on the health front. And as Lord Nigel told us, it's actually technology which is going to come to our aid, whether it is smart cards, whether it is mobile phones, whether it is telemedicine. So right from the whole gamut, from diagnosis to treatment, we can harness technology for a better tomorrow. Let me now dwell on the plus factors, the several achievements in the health sector which are there to our credit. Eradication of polio and smallpox, improvement in IMR from 80 per 1,000 live births in 1991 to 42 per live births in 2012, improvement in maternal mortality ratio from 301 per lakh live births in 2001-2002 to 178 per lakh live births in 2010-2012, an increase in life expectancy from around 61 to 66 in the last decade. Apart from that, vector-borne diseases, for instance, we are tackling on a war footing, and there's been a decline. There's been a decline in tuberculosis cases, though there are concerns about MDR and extreme MDR. So the progress which we have achieved, we need to build on that. We cannot be complacent. There's so many challenges on the health front that we seek the cooperation of all stakeholders, especially the private sector. And I think this conference is going to be a big way forward in looking at the challenges and how we are going to address them. Thank you.